Hello everyone, Jeff here. We've reached the end of another year in Antilia's development, and like the years before, I'd like to do a bit of a review at the end of the year and take a look back at what we accomplished. In the video closing out the year of 2020, I said that in 2021 I wanted to transition away from engine and tool development and get back to developing gameplay systems for Antilia. And indeed, gameplay is what received the most development attention throughout the year. So let's take a look back at what was added to Antilia in 2021, and then later in the video we'll take a first look at Antilia's new building system. In the first half of 2021, we iterated on the core systems such as inventory and the skill grid. Then we went on to add the first interactive skills and unlockable abilities in the form of the new fishing system. Tree felling and mining received some attention, then we designed and implemented portions of Antilia's food and cooking system so that we could cook up all those fish we'd caught. Movement was expanded with unlockable abilities including sprinting, multi-jump, and water running. And towards the middle of the year, we added skill card pavilions and exploration markers and scattered them across the Isle of Gasaw in Antilia version 0.0.9. If you'd like to learn more about those features, I suggest you go back and watch the previous video. I'll leave a link to it in the video description below. Following version 0.9, I turned my attention to Antilia's launcher and performing some internal testing and debugging with the help of Loco. For a time, I was in the habit of making regular weekly builds, although admittedly that fell off later in the year as I got my head down into the building system. Exploration markers received another pass of development, and exploration fog was added to the world map. Finding and clicking on one of those markers will now reveal an associated portion of the map in addition to providing a bonus token. A few of you may have had the opportunity to watch one of my world building live streams on Discord last year, and a reoccurring problem with doing those was the terrain editor's long export time of about an hour. Late in the year I solved this problem by implementing an incremental export system, which reduced the export times down to an average of 2 to 3 minutes. This makes world building a much more enjoyable and productive process. And finally, let's take a look at Antilia's property system and the building editor. There's a lot that could be said about the technical side of how the buildings work and the development effort that went into building this, but for this video I'll just point out a few highlights of the new system. The new building system no longer operates on a fixed 90-degree grid. The starting tile can be placed anywhere inside the lot, then additional tiles simply snap onto the edges of existing tiles. The reason for this change was to break up the boring and limited 90-degree layouts and expand the creative possibilities of support for these triangle-shaped tiles. This addition will allow us to use the same building system for both player-owned properties and larger structures in the game, including ruins and the Vulan Palace, which has been described in the lore as having a snowflake shape when viewed from above. The building system still supports having different themes or styles, and it still has the same distant LOD generation as before. New building themes can be designed using the same building style editor that we've previously demonstrated, and in spite of the new roof and triangular tiles, only requires a minimal set of meshes to get started. There is, however, still quite a bit more that needs to be added in the first quarter of 2022 before I would consider this system functional. This includes a system for buying and selling properties, painting of wall styles, cellar and attic spaces, stairs, furniture, and of course more wall and floor styles to design with. Now at this point in the video I had hoped to transition to a more thorough example of me creating a whole building in the editor while explaining the various features. But honestly, after attempting that segment several times, I've come to the conclusion that the editor just isn't ready for that. I really wanted to demonstrate it, and I thought when January 1st came along that I had everything I needed to pull it off, but as I started capturing footage, I just found too many incomplete features, too many limitations, a lack of content, ugly content, and a lot of little glitches that had to be worked around and explained, and overall it just made for a very confusing demonstration. So for now, I'm going to delay that demonstration until the editor is far enough along that I can demonstrate it without having to constantly explain why things will be different from what you're seeing on the screen. But as a brief summary to give you an idea of where things stand at the moment, in the editor right now you can place and delete the basic building and roof tiles, you can set the floor style, but there aren't many options to choose from. You can place doors and windows, and you can even click on the building and go inside. The editor saves your work as you're working, and it saves two different layouts, the design layout and the standing layout. But that's about as far as I was able to get in 2021. Here's an updated look at our development roadmap as we head into the year of 2022. If I were to set some goals for the year, it would be these 4 things. 1. Finish the building editor in version 0.10. Second, Antilia is really feeling like a ghost town right now. It feels like the stage has been set, but there are no actors. So in version 0.11, I really want to see Antilia come to life, and that means AI pathfinding and NPC behaviors. Third, finish up an initial version of the Alcazar. There's really only a few regions left, so I think this is well within our reach. Finally, start on version 0.12, which will focus on multiplayer, and I'd really like to see us testing that before the end of 2022, if at all possible. Well, that's all for our look back at Antilia's development in 2021. I hope you like what you see with Antilia, and if you do, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Personally, I'm very eager to get back to work on Antilia, and I'm especially curious to see how the NPCs will be behaving by the end of this year. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a great year in 2022. A special thanks goes to our Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support the project, you can do so by visiting www.patreon.com/Antilia.